Hello and welcome to Love and the Planets for the week of October 22nd. I'm Margaret Gray in Dublin, Ireland.
And I'm Armand Diaz in Long Island, New York.
So Armand, in keeping with the week that's in it, our sound seems to be going a little in and out. So we could put it down to maybe Halloween coming or something like that. But so don't adjust your volume. It is our sound. We'll do our best with it. So what a week ahead of us with this full moon in Taurus, conjunct Uranus, opposite Venus retrograde, squaring the nodes, and Venus is also sextile Saturn. So I thought I'd get that whole mouthful out together, and then we can start looking at how is this really going to impact our relationships this week. I mean, what are your initial thoughts?
There's a lot of pressure, a lot of scorpionic pressure. That's what I see. I think that the Sun conjunct Venus in Scorpio. I think, the Saturn ought to help, but I think it sort of serves as a rudder to contain things a little bit and to help balance us out a little bit. But I think that there's just a lot of intensity. And my guess is that intensity pops open at the full moon, as things tend to do at the full moon. But full moon conjunct Uranus, so we're talking about high energy.
And if we look back a few weeks, the intensity we're talking about, when we're talking about scorpionic intensity, we're talking about a mixture of kind of a sense of really being almost in a pressure cooker, where particularly in relationships, we're kind of, it's not necessarily getting on with people. It's just a tension that's there that we don't really know how to just let it go, that it's hard to just feel at ease with people. And that's been going on for a few weeks. And then last week we had a break from it. So we kind of had a week where it wasn't quite so tense. There was still some issues in communication, but there wasn't as much tension. And now we're right back to the kind of tension that we had a few weeks ago. So just to be aware of this, because it's a really important time to really take care of ourselves and to just be aware that issues that might come up in relationships may be due to this tension rather than inherent issues in the relationship itself.
And I think you can go a couple of ways with it, because I do think at the full moon on Wednesday, you're going to find release from this tension. And that could be passionate. That can be this kind of, let's get into the body. The Taurus we're talking about after all. So conjunct Uranus is like, maybe we've had enough and like, let's find some release here. On the other hand, I mean, a relationship that's in a more vulnerable place could find a different sort of release, and it could be a matter of, things blowing up a little bit.
So you're really talking about energies to do with sensuality, with sex, all of those kind of passions and intimacy arenas that really come up when we're talking about Taurus and also about Scorpio, which are a way of release, but also a way of connecting people. So if a relationship is strong and really feels kind of like in a healthy place right now, that really might be a way for the relationship to deepen at this time, or even to find some new ways to go forward, because Uranus and Taurus can also bring us forward in a way that's kind of new, but built on something solid behind it.
Yes, and with Uranus being in a relatively harmonious trine to Saturn, and Saturn being sextile the Sun, there's a lot of potential there. You know what I see it as, this could be a time when things get a little bit out of hand, things get a little bit too excited, for better or for worse. It could go either way.
Well, not to forget that, of course, Venus is going retrograde. It's also the second and the last Sun-Venus conjunction on Friday, so a couple of days after the full moon, which, by the way, the full moon is smack in the middle of the week. So that kind of feels like the whole week is really affected by it. So with this last Sun-Venus, with Venus in retrograde conjunction, again, there's a revisiting of those old relationship themes. What happened, what went on, looking at old photos, looking at old letters, looking at old emails, messages, all of that in terms of what really happened. Now, the good thing is that this is the last one. So maybe after this, we can kind of almost just put them in a box, with a ribbon or whatever on it and say, okay, done that, seen that, time to kind of let that go.
I think it's going to take a little bit of time, though. I think it's an entire week because although on the day of the full moon, the moon does go and oppose Venus, really, Uranus and Venus will not come into opposition until the 31st. And that might be a spooky Halloween in relationships right there. We'll talk about that next week. But it's kind of like the energy that's opening up on the full moon on the 24th continues out until the 31st when we get the exact aspect. And that might be a time when the sort of the decisions come and so on.
So it's really, as we started this, we said it's a very intense week. I mean, what do you think, Armand? When is a good time for maybe people to kind of relax a little bit or enjoy this week? When do you think is the best day or evening of the week?
It depends. I mean, the full moon is a pretty good time for fun. I mean, if things are going well. Also, leading up to the full moon on Monday and Tuesday, we have the moon in Aries, and that's really good. We have no fire in the sky all of last week, and only the Aries moon is the only planet, dwarf planet, or asteroid in a fire sign. So if you want to get a little spark going, you could use a little bit of fire, And so Monday and Tuesday are pretty good. We're building towards the full moon, or maybe after the full moon on Thursday. Maybe we'll get some of that Taurian sensuality without quite as much of the, intensity, or maybe even the moon in Gemini on the weekend. Maybe that would be good.
Also, not to forget, talking about sparks, really to just mention that if you're thinking of enrolling on our certificate course in relationships and astrology, do sign up now. Our course is getting pretty full, and we'd love to have you on the course. You can do it from the comfort of your own home, so get in touch with us.
Check the link right there on the bottom of the screen. Do that. It's sitting right there. Check the link, go to it, and we'll see you there.
See you next week, Armand. Bye-bye.